We've discussed a great deal of social and digital media in this panel on consumers and the market innovations. The next panel takes this a step further with a detailed focus on the digital side of this consumer segment. And to introduce the panelists, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Rajiv Prakast, founder of NextGen Partners, who will be moderating the session. Rajiv himself is an entrepreneur who helps and mentors businesses enable themselves with technology and digital space. Ladies and gentlemen, Rajiv Prakast. Rajiv, over to you.
Thanks, Lavin. Okay, good afternoon. We have three very interesting entrepreneurs here today. I would like to first invite Funny Samad, founder of Redbus, the innovator and the founder of India's largest bus ticketing marketplace. Okay, Funny set up Redbus 6 years ago and has been involved in basically creating a market which didn't exist and which we'll be learning a lot about his experiences today. Next on stage is Ajay Kaushal, the founder of BillDesk, one of India's largest payment systems companies. Okay, it was called running a full payments marketplace. Okay. And we then have Parikshit Dar, the co-founder of Book My Show. Okay. And Book My Show, again, is a market leader in the entire area of movie ticket and events booking. Please. What's interesting today is we have companies which are leaders in their individual markets. But apart from that, certain common themes are, these are all digital consumption companies, either directly or from an enabling standpoint, who are more in the business of digital goods as against physical goods, what we've been discussing as moving bits versus moving atoms. The second is, there's a reasonable amount of vintage. These are not companies which probably grew in 2 or 3 years' time. Okay, they have stayed the course. BillDesk and Book My Show, okay, have been there for over 10 years. Okay, they have seen at least 2 generations of the internet. And Funny has seen life before 2008 and afterwards. So I think there is a reasonable amount of maturity, okay, by internet standards. And they've also all evolved into marketplaces. So I do look forward to a good discussion today. The format today is one, we will have opening statement from each of the members talking about their views about the digital consumption opportunity. How real is it? And is the market really valuable? And then we get on to individual questions. And finally, around 10 minutes of Q&A at the end. I believe there's an SMS-based question system. Okay, if it's working, I'll take questions from there, or we can just make it interactive. So starting with is a question to all members of the panel is, if you see digital consumption has been growing substantially over the past 2-3 years. And today, almost on cue, we have this McKinsey report which talks about 100 billion internet services market with 22 million jobs by 2015. Very, very significantly large numbers. At the same time, last week, we had the Microsoft Accelerator saying that 50% of e-commerce companies are close to shutdown. Then we see China, then all of a sudden, a company like Taobao, okay, doing a blowout sale of almost 3 billion on a single day. And people say some demographics are similar. So my question to the panel is to probably take the first 3-4 minutes. One, talk about, what is your real view about the adoption of digital consumption in India? How real is it? Do the trends show that is it going to become much bigger? Or have we kind of hit the plateau of what is possible? Or will digital consumption grow in a very unique way in India, which is typically a very Indian style of digital consumption? And in the context of that, where do you really see our opportunities to create profitable large businesses? Because we are a very price-sensitive market, and any leading position very quickly starts getting into a cost reduction game. So in a market where large-scale operations doesn't necessarily mean a large-scale business, okay, where is the opportunity for creating large, profitable businesses? Funny, if you can. Yep.
Actually, when we started about 6 years back, a lot of investors were asking, will bus tickets be sold on internet? And we were not sure. We said, okay, people like us will buy, but we don't know if every bus passenger will buy. Then after about a couple of years, people from cities were buying. And then until recently, our claim was, okay, all people in cities will buy because their transportation, they have traffic and etc. and also they will buy. And for the last 2-3 years, interestingly, what we're seeing is people in towns are buying. People in towns like Rajahmundry, Surat, Jamnagar, those people have started buying on internet. And we were like completely shocked. And we have not advertised in cities, not advertised in tier 2 towns, tier 3 towns. Still people from there are coming and buying. And that makes me believe that digital consumption in India is a real story and it will happen. And as far as being profitable, I think our experience has been, we've been a little conservative. We've always wanted to be profitable. And we've turned profitable. I mean, we've always have been burning less money. So we've turned profitable about a year back and etc. and all. But I think that thing really made us survive through the 2008. The pre-2008 and the post-2008, because some of our competitors actually did die during the 2008.
But can you just context when you say digital consumption is a real story? And we have Ajay and Parikshit running businesses where it's taken 10 years, okay, to get to a certain stage. So while it's a large story, can you just context against a more realistic time frame, okay, when it becomes, let's say, a significant story?
Yeah, I think there are two approaches there, whether you create a market or you just go along with the market. And our approach has been go along with the market, and we are patient. And we believe it will happen, and we'll be there to see that day. Yeah.
Okay. Ajay, could you provide your perspective, please?
Does it work? Hello. Thank you. And it's good being here. The good thing is that where I sit in the ecosystem, I see all kinds of transactions going through our platform. And what we've been seeing in the last 3 to 4 years is that there is real growth in the number of people paying electronically. On the platform, we see a good 40 to 50% growth year on year on people beginning to make payments electronically, whether they're buying tickets, like we work with Book My Show here, or we work with large telcos. So we are seeing people making payments, we are seeing people buying things. But the fact is that a business is a business at the end of the day. It needs to make money. And as we have a large number of people here, there are people who talk of that you need to get Facebook likes. Somebody will say you need to get customer data on your system. The fact is you need to get profitable. You need to make it work in the long run for yourself. We were sitting outside and somebody said that it takes 3 to 5 years to sell a company. It takes 8 to 10, 12 years to make a business. And we are seeing that. It has taken us 10, 11 years. We've been in the system. We've seen people come. We've seen people go. But the fact is that in India, things are happening. People are going online. People are transacting. And we see a clear 40 to 50% growth. And we see over 2 million people transacting every day on the platforms. It's not a small number. 2 million people coming online and buying something or the other is a significant amount that is beginning to happen. And we think that this will keep growing because we are seeing a lot of banks work towards getting more and more people to transact electronically. And as people can transact electronically, they can book tickets, they can buy books, they can buy movie tickets, whatever the case may be. But from the place where I sit, I think it is the people coming online is here to stay. People are doing it. Now, whether they'll buy more things or not is something that one has to see.
Okay. Thanks, Parikshit. Good afternoon, everybody. I think you might.
Good afternoon, everybody. I consider my company as one of the dinosaurs of the internet industry in India. We've been around for a really long time. Most of you probably don't know it. But we've been around since 1999. And we've seen pretty much .com 1.0, .com 2.0, bust, boom. We went from 200 people to 6 people. And I can honestly say it's only in the last 2 years that we've started seeing real traction in India. We've actually started seeing a significant number of people going online and transacting. I mean, if I would look at it even 5 years ago when we started off very, very small. So our company is called Big Tree, but the brand Book My Show is only about 5 years old. We started in 2007. And we started small. And in India, I think you have to go in for the long haul. So, I mean, like Redbus, we actually built the ecosystem in India, so which means we actually went and automated cinemas and entertainment venues in the industry. So, I mean, if you went to any cinema, they were offline. They used to sell physical tickets, manual tickets. So we actually went and sold them software. And we actually got them automated, used to the idea of automation. And it's only on that basis that we were actually able to layer an internet story on that. And it took us by surprise as well. In 2007, when we launched Book My Show as a brand, we invested a lot of money setting up a call center because that's what the business used to be. And within 1 year, we realized 90% of our business is coming online and only 10% is going through the call center. And, that's really how rapidly things have changed in India. And we are seeing that rate of change continue. So, for example, till about last year, we used to have a very, very minuscule percentage of transactions happening on the mobile. I mean, within the 1 year between Android and iOS, we've got a significant number of transactions happening online, happening through the mobile handsets. And we see this growing rapidly again. So like I said, in India, things take time, things take their own sweet time. I mean, you can't build a business in 2 years and sell it off. I mean, you have to be really, really lucky to be able to do that. But you have to get in for the long haul. You have to focus on your product. And the market will catch up with you at some point of time if you believe in it and your product is good and you're meeting a service, you're providing a service which is needed. I mean, the market will catch up with you at some point of time and reward you for it. But you have to stick with it.
Okay, thanks. So you all have provided a perspective about how large the opportunity is. But the second part of the question in terms of, do the businesses around this opportunity, for the kind of scale they might have in operations and market share, are they really large businesses from a revenue and, let's say, from a profitability perspective? Is it possible really to build large revenue businesses and profitability businesses, given the fact it's very price sensitive and even the pioneer's advantage may get eroded? So how does it all finally translate into business terms? Let's take in Book My Show.
I mean, so for us, the growth story is that today, I mean, if you look at India as a movie-going marketplace, we sell 4 billion tickets every year. But my addressable market is only about 100 million. Or, I mean, it will go up to 200 million maybe this year end. But, first of all, there is scope from 200 million to 4 billion because, I mean, most of those tickets are like 10, 15, 20 rupee tickets, which is not an online market right now. So the story one is that I'm only addressing 10% of my addressable market right now. So I have another 90% to grow. So it's a funny thing, actually, that you put it this way. When somebody asks us, what is your biggest competition today? I don't say 10 other companies. I say my biggest competition is the box office because 90 out of 100 people are still going to the box office. How do I make them come to Book My Show and make sure they don't go to the box office? So that's one part of the growth story that, I mean, I still have great scope for growing. And cinemas, we are highly under capacity as compared to world standard when it comes to movie tickets. So that build out is happening. It's a long-term game. And as that grows, our opportunity grows. And also as, again, to bolster what Funny said, that we are also seeing significant traction from small towns. So you see places like Varanasi and Dehradun and Jaipur. And I mean, these are markets which are traditionally considered cash markets. But people are going online. People are spending, they're putting their credit card details, putting net banking details and transacting. So obviously we are meeting a need which exists in the market. And I think, I mean, yeah, that's what I think. I think there is good traction, but we're still 5 to 7 years away from it. And it is this next generation, which is our children, who will really drive this story going forward. Because for them, connectivity is second nature. For us, it's not.
So I think it's a very interesting point to make about the next generation. So in a way, a lot of the preparation today is actually for the generation which is the 10, 14-year-olds today, which probably over the next 6, 7 years, if not even earlier, are going to do a substantial part of their spend online. And probably profitability follows. So Ajay, building on that and also a direct question to you, okay, is at BillDesk, okay, when you formed the company along with your co-founders 10 years ago, you choose a different route to market. Instead of building up a B2C market, you choose to build a model wherein you are enabling banks to set up electronic billing presentation. So it became much more in terms of bank enabler and from there a utility enabler. Now, in the process, you kind of become a quasi-payments marketplace. As you see the markets today, would you advocate such e-commerce or a digital commerce enabling approach or a more direct B2C approach either in the payments or some of the other sectors? Is the first part of the question. And the second thing is, it's also taken you around 10 years to grow to this level. So have you kind of chosen to grow with the market, or do you felt that you could have made the market grow with you? And I mean, are there pros and cons in any one approach, being conservative or too aggressive? You know?
So I think it's an interesting point, because payments is a very strange business actually. Payments is infested and infected by just banks and few networks like Visa, MasterCard. To break into that business is not the easiest of things to do. Because if you see the world over, there is no real payments business after Visa, MasterCard. Everybody is trying to find ways to monetize the information around a payment transaction rather than enabling a payment. So we chose a position that we will enable a payment and not monetize the information around the payment transaction. And given that our chosen position was that we will enable a payment transaction, it makes it, I would say, a little difficult to make the kind of money that you can make in a B2C market. But the option is that a payment is relevant to everybody. Whether you are in the so-called e-commerce business, whether you are in selling tickets, whether you are selling jeans or anything, you need a payment transaction. Even when you have to deal with the government, when you pay taxes, when you want a driving license, you need to make a payment. So payment as a business is a very large business. But the fact is that you cannot monetize that information very easily, because if you start monetizing it, you are affecting the underlying transaction. So we, given the kind of people we were and the way we understood the market, we consciously chose that we will be the plumbing lines in the system. We will not be the person going directly to the customer. So today, we work with 600-700 large organizations and enable payments for them. Their customers can come and buy whatever those organizations are selling. What that does for us is that we become a very neutral, no side-taking platform where we just say that if you want to pay using method 1, you can make a payment. You want to choose using method 2, you can make a payment. If method 2 incentivizes, you could use method 2. We will not but take sides on the platform. So we've chosen a model, like Rajiv says, it's a marketplace. We are not asking somebody to do anything. We are just saying you can do what you want to do. We will enable your transaction. Now, that's what takes time. It has taken us 10 years. And I think, as somebody said here, for the first 5 odd years, nothing ever happened in India. We've been doing this since 2000. And till about 2006, 2007, we didn't see any transactions. It's only in the last 3-4 years where people have started coming online and they've started using, whether it's their computer or their phone, to start making payments. But what we see is that anybody who comes online never goes away. He or she always remains there and keeps on transacting. And that's the good part of it, that people don't stop using or coming online because of the great convenience that various platforms offer them when they start transacting online. But the fact is, you need to take a position whether you want to be direct to the customer or whether you want to be the infrastructure or the utility behind the B2C business that you are going to power.
You might also have made an interesting choice of investors who were probably patient with you all this period. So were these strategic investors, or did you have an investors who were willing to wait for 5-7 years for market growth? Can you provide some light on that?
Yeah, so we've had very good investors, and I think we've also been very good to them.
Okay.
It's been mutual, but keeping that aside, yes, they've been very patient. But the fact is, we've also been, I would say, very open with them and telling them how we think this whole thing will evolve. We've we've actually run a very, very transparent and a clean business. We've made sure that all stakeholders, whether they're investors or whether they're our partners, they're fully aware of what we are doing. And I think that has helped us over these years. We also realized that payments is a banking business, so we have banks who've been our investors for a long period of time. And I think it just gelled with us. I think there were people who we were able to align ourselves with and keep them fully informed of what's working for us and what's not working. So there were no surprises for them as we've come along. So that, I think, has helped, because we've kept them, I think, working out.
Okay. I'm sure there'll be more lessons to be learned from that experience. Funny, again, another two-part question to you. So the kind of market you took up is highly fragmented and physical. Okay. One would have probably even questioned the journey at various points of time. So not only did you digitize the market, you also centralized both the reservation and inventories. By the same time, your customer, in this case, is not just the urban internet savvy customer, but essentially it's a mass market who one would assume would have major access issues, okay, to the internet and payment. So how are you able to build up a digital business which actually addressed this wider mass market where there would have been some going in assumptions about accessibility? And second is, you've also built a marketplace, and your suppliers of marketplace are bus operators, where very often, given our personal experiences, we would view them as being not very technology savvy and unorganized, and you manage to organize them. So again, what learnings have come from organizing the supply side?
Okay, sure. On the second question, the first thing is, yes, it was very difficult, to visualize that they will all be computerized. But the only thing that worked with them is that they would get revenue. Our initial sales pitch used to be, okay, take this software and then it'll help you manage your operations better and also get you sales. So the first pitch was help you manage better and then thereafter get you sales. That really didn't work. The 3 months, it just flopped. 3 months, we were doing calls, rounds to the bus operators. None of them were taking it. Then, of course, we were incubated by TIE. Then we went to the TIE Bangalore chapter, asked them for help. That's when the mentors came forward and said, you flip it around. You say, the first thing that you do is go and tell them that they'll get revenue. And then the software will get you help you get revenues and then also help you organize better. So when we flipped that sales pitch, saying that you will get revenue, almost people were signing up left, right, center. And within the first year of our software launch, we signed up over 400 bus operators, which means more than one operator per day. Completely overnight, it kind of revolutionized. And then one analogy here is, our maids and servants and drivers and etc. and all. You can never imagine, during those days, you would have never imagined that they will use the phone that well with ringtones and the contacts and etc. and all. But they all started using it because it was productive to them. It was helping them earn more money. It was helping them do more work and etc. and all. And overnight, they all started adopting it. So I think that's the major driver. If you go to somebody and say, this will help you do more, people will learn technologies overnight. So that has been our major learning there. Just on the first question, a question related to discounting and will it, how do you live in that world of discounting on internet? Is it really viable and etc. and all? I was just chatting with somebody over lunch and then he was saying that it is not a problem. It is actually not a problem with the industry. It is actually a problem with the kind of entrepreneurs you have in your industry. And he was giving a nice example of IT industry. When the IT industry came, a few decades back in India, the Infosys, Wipros, and the 10, 12 other companies, he said the difference there is the kind of entrepreneurs that came in, all of them first generation, very mature, put down the head, work, and etc. and all. And they didn't fight. They fought on the quality of the work and the deliverables and etc. and all. And they didn't fight on the price. And hence, that IT industry is a big success in India, and then it really grew and etc. and all. So he was giving that example and saying it is actually a problem of the kind of entrepreneurs who come in and what kind of intentions they come in. Are they really high quality or they just want to drop price and then survive for a little while? And eventually, I think you need money to run businesses. And if you're discounting, you're only doing a sprint. And I think at least we are prepared for a marathon. I think 10 years down the lane, if we survive, we'll get all their customers here because they will not survive for a longer time.
Yeah, thanks. And the first part was about you addressing the mass market, which often one says doesn't have access, right? Because it's a luxury bus market which is open to a whole lot of customers, and they usually don't have internet or payment access. So did you use any other channels, and were those channels really effective?
Yes, we do have cash on delivery, but it needs minimum volumes for us to do really good job
The Kirana market,
there.
for example, you said, and using some of those.
Which one?
The markets where you have some of your ticket agents who might be operating out of small shops.
Yeah.
So that kind of became an access point for people who did not have internet and payments.
Yes, actually, that is a good market access point. We have a product called Seat Seller which powers the agents. And agents, until now, they had to be physically be present by themselves for them to do the business. But once we gave them a workflow and a reconciliation system through our software, it was a very big win for them, because now they can appoint a 2,000 rupee, 5,000 rupee employee, and then they can do other jobs. And for all their footfalls, they can still serve the customers very cost effectively. So that is very neatly plugged in into the existing trade. And that also drives a lot of volumes for us.
Okay, thanks. And Parikshit, if we take Book My Show, now, while in Builders model, it's much more in terms of a payment enablement platform and eventually a marketplace. You decided to go B2C, very similar to how Redbus has, right? Now, I think you probably would also have a choice of actually getting into a full-fledged online booking marketplace versus in your early avatar where you're actually powering, okay, individual theater owners in a white label form. So, was there this kind of a decision becoming a large B2B platform versus becoming B2C? And what in your mind was probably the pros and cons, especially in a market today where increasingly many theater owners are also setting up their own site and they're drawing traffic on themselves?
Yeah, so our idea was always to be a marketplace. We were never going to be a B2B business. That was never the idea. That was never the plan. It was only a via media of getting to a position where we could launch a B2C marketplace. So at that time, we had to build the infrastructure. And it's not that we're not doing it now. We're still doing it. So for example, the events business is completely unmanaged in India right now, if you look at the customer experience. And I mean, for us, we are looking at it as another place where we have to actually go out and build the customer experience. So for example, when there is an IPL match happening, Book My Show is not just selling tickets online. We are managing the box office, we are managing your gate entry, we are managing your stadium ushering. Because at the end of the day, what a customer buys from Book My Show is an experience. And if I just sell you a ticket and you go to the stadium and somebody else is sitting in your seat, then that's not the experience I've sold you. So I mean, that's what I mean, that in India you actually have to go out and build the customer experience because it doesn't exist. And that's really the long haul of the business. And so yeah, I mean, our idea was always to be in a B2C business and not to be in a B2B business. B2B was only an enabler for us to be able to get into the B2C business. Okay. So I mean, I don't see cinemas having their own websites as a significant threat. Yes, I mean, it takes away traffic from us, but the end of the day, I think we've established ourselves as a marketplace. And 9 out of 10 people would still come to Book My Show and buy their ticket rather than actually going to the cinema site and buying their ticket.
So it looks like as you look at the world of digital businesses, there seem to be two parts to it. One are businesses like y'all, whom I would call are more moving bits, because you're basically dealing with digital products and digital merchandise, payments, tickets, movie tickets. On the other side, we have the moving atoms and guys who are basically more into e-commerce of physical merchandise. And look, and the proposition, all of those things look very different, okay, in both these markets. So I think probably if we have a panel with some of the physical product e-commerce, we'd have had a different set of point of views. Okay, I believe there are 10 more minutes to go. So much though I have a long list of questions which we were discussing, but it might be good to get into Q&A mode. And we just have 10 minutes. So yeah. So I think we can get into questions from the audience, and if there's any time left, then I can have more specific questions about your businesses. Hi. We have a...
Hi, this is Kunal from FreeCharge. Question is open to all the panelists, especially because you guys have been there over 5 years, and that's like you're in one generation ahead for the new startups. In terms of revenue models, what we've seen is the thing that what entrepreneurs do over here is they disrupt someone's innovation by trying to undercut, give more discount, take away margins, and that's their innovation in the business model. In these times, how are your companies dealing with innovation towards revenue generation? Are you looking at, like you talked about cinemas doing their own bit to do that, and if the levelers are not the same, I mean, I've seen the similar thing happening in the OTA industry as well, where airlines are trying to push their own tickets as well. In general, how do you address revenue innovation? Is it something that you constantly watch out and create some innovation over there, or you just look at scale and create a moat towards that?
Your questions to Parikshit?
Actually, I can address it to anyone. Everyone is probably in the same scale of business to address that, so anyone can take the question.
I'll answer this, and some
Yeah.
others can jump in if they have a point of view. I mean, at the end of the day, we are in business, which means money has to come in, and you have to be able to generate a reasonable amount of revenue to be able to grow the business. VC will only pump in so much money. At some point of time, he's going to pull the plug. So for us, it's extremely, extremely important to be able to make money and not just get customers and get traffic. So we've never been in the business of chasing traffic. We have been profitable for about over a year now. And we are going to keep, I mean, our business model is built around the fact that we make money. And I mean, I think that's how all businesses should be at the end of the day. Competition will come and do crazy stuff. But at the end of the day, you have to make sure your quality of input is good. And I mean, that's what we've seen over 10 years now. I mean, we've been through about twice 2 bust cycles in this industry. And you have to stick to it. You have to believe in what you do. And like I said, there has to be some value in the service you're providing. So, I mean, I know you could go to probably a Cinemax site and buy a ticket, but you then probably go to 5 different sites and look for what is a ticket. But here you come to Book My Show, you probably get a movie, you get a show, you get a sports event. So it's pretty much like a destination. And people don't have time nowadays to go around hunting. You know, people don't plan. And that's something we've seen, at least in our industry. People plan a lot less. So now, if I want to watch a movie, I mean, I'll probably decide maybe 2 hours in advance or an hour in advance. And I'm not going to go hunting around for 5 different sites and say, abhi PVR pe kya hai, Cinemax pe kya hai, big cinemas pe kya hai. You go to Book My Show, you pretty much get everything. So I think for us, it's always been focus on the quality of your input. The results will follow.
Okay. So I have a slightly different view on this. See, the point is you always start with a model. The model evolves. And I think there is a shelf life to a model. There comes a time when you need to kill that model before the model kills you. And the internet or an electronically enabled business, because I don't want to stress on the word internet, but the fact is internet is a medium for somebody to access you. Somebody came in a car earlier, now they're coming through a URL and they need to come to you. The fact is you need to have a model which is relevant and which is doing something like, as Parikshit says, it has to offer some value. If you are not going to offer that value, that model is the guy who's going to create the biggest problem for you. So the model has to evolve. Model has to evolve with how times are changing, and you need to be able to deliver real value to the guy, because otherwise the person is not going to come to your platform to transact. The second point is about this profitability and revenue. I think in various parts of the world people have different views, but I think here in India you need to make money, because if you don't make money, you don't survive very long. You might have VCs who might back you for some time, but you only have problems with them once the model doesn't work. And in India, not many businesses get sold. That's the other challenge. People might compare it with the Valley or somewhere where businesses get sold very easily. In India, you don't see businesses getting sold very easily, because our key innovation is only cost reduction or price reduction, I would say. So only innovation we do is somehow reduce the price to a level where nobody can survive. And I think that we need to get out of that mode of doing the least price product, not the least cost, but the least price product. And somebody other does it, and it creates a problem for all the people who are part of that chain. So I think as people build new businesses or look at new ideas, price or cost should not be the driver for a business. If you have a new idea or a different idea or a better idea or a better way to do something, I think it has value, but a price or a cost play has very little or very short-lived value in the system.
Okay.
Yeah, completely agree with both.
Okay, great. Yes, please.
How do you market a startup online on a limited budget? Because no matter how much money you spend online, it's just a drop in the ocean at the end of the day.
And your questions too?
Anyone, they're all
Okay.
experts.
All right. Funny, you want to take this up?
Yeah, I think, it's a drop in the ocean, but you can measure it really, really well, right? I mean, if you put $100 there, actually, our story is, I never believed in SEM when we started. This is like 6 years back. Because personal experience has been whenever I search something, I only clicked on the organic results. I've never seen ads here and ads. I think I don't remember the ads there, but I was arguing with the team saying that I've never clicked on the ads there. Who will click? I don't think anybody will click. Why spend money there? So one of our team members, actually, he said, okay, give me 250 rupees budget. He said, give me 250 rupees budget, and if I prove that with this 250 rupees, we have earned more than 250 rupees, you should agree for 500 rupee budget. And I said, oh, 250 rupees, okay, fine, yeah, take it, right? He started the AdWords campaign with his account with 250 rupees of Redbus budget. And then he proved that it earns more money than the 250 rupees. And that's why we started believing it. So that 250 rupees was probably a tiny dot in the whole ocean, but it did give results. And then our confidence went up. So I think that's the beauty of online marketing. I mean, even if you have $1,000, you can really measure it and make it successful, which is not possible in the offline world. Right? I mean, you have to put a hoarding, 50,000 rupees gone. Yeah.
I should meet that SEM guy of yours.
Thanks. I think we've just been told we run out of time, so there can be offline conversations. Otherwise, thanks very much, Fani, Ajay, and Parikshit. Okay, I'm sure there's a lot more we had to discuss, but in the time, this is what we could. So thanks very much, and thanks a lot for being here. Thank you.